I'm Rick Boyer, the pastor of Prospect Presbyterian Church. Welcome to Take a Break, Take a Breath for Wednesday, October 14th. Each Take a Break, Take a Breath session or episode looks at a different psalm and invites us to enter into that psalm or to use that psalm for a time of guided prayer and meditation. It's an opportunity for us to pause in the middle of our day, to take a break and take a breath, to center ourselves in God who knows us and loves us and calls us by name. We are on, or I am on, Psalm 88. And Psalm 88 is an individual complaint psalm or a psalm of lament. And it is one of the darkest psalms, and it uses the word dark in every section of the psalm. It is a psalm that normally in a lament or complaint psalm, you find petitions, requests for God to do something in particular. And normally in those psalms, you find a promise to praise God when God does those things. In this psalm, it is almost all complaint. It is almost all darkness and what is wrong. The psalmist feels like he is all alone. In fact, at the end of the psalm, there are much better translations than the New RSV suggests that the better translations say that friends and family have gone away and the darkness is my only friend. The darkness is my only friend. The two verses that I chose for this is, O Lord, why do you cast me off? Why do you hide your face from me? Wretched and close to death from my youth up, I suffer your terrors. I am desperate. Some have suggested the psalm is a psalm that may have been rooted in someone's terminal illness, but that it could be read metaphorically. And certainly as I read it, I think of people who are suffering depression, and that it fits these days when some of us get depressed with all of the separation and loss we are suffering in these days. So I invite you to go to a place in your house that is quiet and settle into a chair, to close the door and close your eyes and take some deep breaths. And as you breathe in the breath of God. And as you breathe out all that separates you from God. As you breathe in the breath of life. And as you breathe out all that does not bring you life. As you breathe in God's peace. And as you breathe out the fears and anxieties. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. With each breath, let the peace and presence of God grow in the core of your being. Imagine that the peace of God grows in you with each breath. Imagine that it is like sunlight that warms you on a cool day. Feel the sunlight as it falls on your feet and your legs. And as it warms you, it brings relaxation and it calms the activities of your legs. And it falls on your back. And as that sunlight warms your back, the tensions in your back melt away. And it falls on your stomach and your chest. And the warmth of God's light shining on you calms your stomach, unties the knots that might be there. The sunlight, God's peace, falls on your shoulders and your arms and your hands, and the tensions in your shoulders relax. God's light falls and peace falls on your neck. And any pains and tensions in the muscles of your neck are melted away. God's light falls on your face, and as it does so, it brings peace. And the tensions in your jaw are released. And you relax. God's light falls, God's peace falls on your head. And the aches and the tensions in your head fade away. You are washed in the light and peace of God from head to toe. The warmth of God's love surrounds you and gives you peace. In your mind's eye, go to a darkened room today. There's 2 chairs in the room. You know the room well. It's the middle of the night. All is quiet. You're the only one up in the house. You sit in a chair because you couldn't sleep. You've been wrestling and struggling with the things that are going on in your life and in our world and in our country as we approach closer and closer to the day of election, as we deal with all of the racial tensions, as we continue to deal with this ongoing pandemic. You're sitting there in the dark, praying about all of those things, wondering where God is. And you hear a floorboard creak and look up. And there is God. Can't really see well, but you know by the presence that it is God. And God comes and sits beside you. And invites you to talk in the quiet stillness of this darkness and this night. We cry out to God in that darkness, and we know that even darkness is as light to God, that God finds us even in the darkness. So I'll be quiet while you talk with God in the middle of the night. And then the time comes for the conversation to end. And with all that is going on, it may be too soon. So just hit pause. And then when you're ready, say goodbye in a way that is appropriate. And watch as God goes out the door of the room. And then let that image fade away. And bring yourself back to the room where you are. And when you are ready, open your eyes. Well, that's Take a Break, Take a Breath for Wednesday, October 14th. If you want to talk with me or pray with me or have feedback for me, send an email to rick@prospectchurch.org.